So last day we completed the logistic regression, right? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So this is another classification technique. This is called K nearest neighbor or KNN. So the K nearest neighbors or KNN algorithm is a type of supervised machine learning algorithm. As you know, we are now discussing about supervised machine learning algorithms, right? Logistic regression, simple linear regression, multiple linear regression, now classification, logistic regression, and KNN. All of these are from supervised machine learning algorithms. KNN is very simple actually. This is the simplest classification algorithm. KNN is extremely easy to implement in its most basic form and yet performs quite complex classification tasks. It is lazy learning algorithm since it does not have a specialist training phase, means it doesn't take that much of parameter. You can't do any kind of hyperparameter tuning, means you can't tune up the model that much. Much like in other classification algorithm, you can tune up the model by just by applying different combination of parameters. But here it is very simple model, simple classification algorithm, so you will not have that much of choices.
Why it is called lazy learning?
Lazy learning because it actually slowly learns the data. Okay. It actually slowly
Okay.
learns the data. We'll see in the theory how the KNN actually happens. Rather, it uses all of the data for training while classifying a new data point of instance. KNN is a non-parametric learning algorithm, which means that it doesn't assume anything about the underlying data. Means in other classification algorithm, you can have lot of assumption plus you can have lot of parameters, like I previously mentioned. But here, KNN is very simple. That is why you won't be having much choices. This is an extremely useful feature since most of the real-world data does not really follow any theoretical assumption like linear separability, uniform distribution. So, uh, like it doesn't need any uniform distribution or linearly separable uh, data set. Okay, a data set which can be classified linearly. Do you remember the equation from linear regression and logistic regression? The linear equation. The
Y is
class.
equal to beta 0 beta dot plus beta 1 x plus epsilon.
Yes, correct. So logistic regression, uh, we call the logistic regression as linear classifier, right? Linear classifier because it classifies two different classes based on a linear line. That is why it was linear classifier. But here the thing is, you don't need any linear line here. Even if it is a non-linear classification problem, so you can use KNN. Clear? So the intuition behind the KNN algorithm is one of the simplest of all the supervised machine learning algorithms. It simply calculates the distance of a new data point to all other training data points. So based on the previous data points, it can actually classify the new data points, to which it belongs to. To which it belongs. Means if suppose there are two classes, okay, we have already plotted some data points in those two classes. So if a new data point comes in, based on the distance from these two classes, you can easily determine to which this new data point belongs, to which class. Suppose you guys can see. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So let's suppose this is y-axis and this is sorry. This is y-axis and this is x-axis. No problem. Axes are not important. The important things are we have some data points. Like this. There is some other data point. Let's make it blue. All right. Suppose a new data point comes in. A new data point comes in. Suppose here it happened. So how would you uh, how would you classify this data point based on previous records? So by using KNN, this one, is one group. And this one is another group. So first of all, we have to see the distance between these and the distance between this. Suppose 100. So what do you think? To which class it can go?
The one with the blue dot.
Yes, because the distance between them is very small,
Yes.
right? So this is how, if new data keeps coming, for each and every data we can calculate the distance between them. Distance between the data point and the classes. Then we can easily decide which class it can go. Correct? Clear from this? All right. So the distance can be of any type, like Euclidean or Manhattan. There are many techniques to calculate this, distance between two data points in coordinate geometry. We can find Euclidean or Manhattan distance. It then selects the k nearest data points. K nearest data points, where k can be any integer. So it then selects the k nearest data points. Let's suppose uh, we have some data points like these. It's a new plot. Think about a new plot. Okay. I'm not again doing the x-axis, y-axis. So let's suppose this one is the mean value. This one is the mean value, and this one is another mean value. Okay, let's forget another mean value. This one is the mean value. So first of all, we will see which are the closest data point. So I can see these are my closest data points, right? Right or wrong?
Yes, right.
Suppose I have another mean value like this one. This one is another mean value. So there is another data. So it can form a group like this. It can form a group like this, right? Now the thing would be, there are certain other data points also. I have to calculate the distance between them. Now it can now extend the group by this, but cannot extend the group like this. Why? Because suddenly you realize that the distance between this data point and the mean value of this other group is smaller than the distance between this data point and the mean value of this group. So that is why you can extend this group like this. Okay. So there will be two classes. That means suppose class A this one you can say class A, and this one you can say class B. So two groups means two classes you have done. Clear? Suppose you have a dataset with two variables which when plotted looks like the one in the following figure. Like this. You have plotted the scatter plot and you got the plot like this. Your task is to classify a new data point with X into blue. X into blue class or red class. There are two classes. Okay. So in the target column, there are only two classes. The coordinate values of the data point are X equal to 45 and Y equal to 50. The coordinate values of the data points are X equal to 45. Where is X equal to 45? Here somewhere. And Y equal to 50. Y equal to 50 here somewhere. Here. Suppose the value of K is 3. The KNN algorithm starts by calculating the distance of point X from all the points. So let's suppose here is the point. So you'll start calculating the distance from this point to each and every data point. Alright. It then finds the three nearest points with the least distance to point X. This is shown in the figure. Like this. Somewhere here, your new data point. Somewhere here, your new data point. Just start calculating the distance of each and every data point. And you got to know that these are the closest data points. If your K equal to 3, that means with 3 closest data points, you can form up one group. So the final step of KNN algorithm is to assign new point to the class to which majority of the three nearest points below. Alright. So here we can see that if we form up one group, in this case, if I take k equal to 3, in that case, I have 2 data points from red group and 1 data point from blue group. That means this data point has higher chance of going to the red zone rather than blue zone. Okay, so that means red class will be extended up to here, correct?
Sir, if there are mixed data, means some red data in blue data, some blue data are in red data, then what we will do?
Yeah, those will be called misclassification in those cases. Okay, so if your data are so much jumbled up,
Yes, sir.
let's suppose here somewhere occur. Okay, in that case, if one blue data occurs here and some red data occurred here, then that will be called misclassification, because it cannot happen, right? From the mean value, a blue point cannot have smaller distance than any other red data point.
Okay.
So I could not understand this this one
Sir,
that the mean distance.
Didn't
Yes.
understand. Pardon, please.
Yeah, sure. Let's suppose I formed a scatter plot like this. Okay, a scatter plot like this, no problem. Let's suppose this is my red zone, a red class. So you can say that this one is my mean data point. You just assume this one is your mean data for the red class.
Okay, so
Now this one is my blue class, right? And
yes, so
suppose this one is your mean of the blue class. Now the question is, sir, we have few more data points which are not classified, right?
Yes, sir.
Which are not classified. Alright, let's change the color. So these are, we can see the distance. We can measure the distances. Okay. So suppose this one belongs to the red class. This one belongs to the red class. Okay. Suppose this one belongs to the red class. Would that be, correct classification?
No, sir.
Why?
Because in the means there are one red point in the blue class. That's the wrong classification.
Yeah, in
No, the
technical.
mean we have taken is along with the one which you have marked just now. So if we are taking the mean of that, so that will not be that. So that's why we cannot consider it,
So
because in
the
the blue zone, whatever we the points that have been mentioned, we have taken all the mean of those points, and that's how we have calculated the mean.
yes.
So this cannot happen. So since we have taken the mean with that newly marked red point, so that's why it has to belong to that class only. It has to belong to that blue class only. So it cannot belong to the red class.
Yes. Correct. But suppose now, can you tell me these three data points? These three. I mean, they belong to which class? Visually, it is not possible, right? Visually, it is not possible.
Sir, visually not possible, but this is on red class.
This is on red class, right? How?
Because
The distance from the
distance
blue class is same as distance from the red class.
red class.
Okay. So it may sometime happen that your red class may extend to, like, what to say, may extend to like this. Okay.
Okay.
And maybe the blue class or just take it this way. Yeah, like this. Or the blue class may extend like this. It may happen. It may happen. Okay. So the thing is here, these are wrong classifications.
Yes, sir.
These are wrong classification. Hear me. Obviously, I told you that you cannot achieve 100% accuracy. Okay, you cannot achieve 100% accuracy. In that case, some of them would be misclassified, but most of them should be correctly classified. Okay. Clear?
So
From
Yes.
the middle dots, the middle dots that you have explained, it can be both in the red class and blue class if we extend the red and blue.
No, not both in the red class or blue class. Maybe some other data points. Maybe some other data one. Maybe let's suppose. Let's suppose this data point belongs to red class, or maybe this data point belong to the blue class. It may happen. can see. This will be called classification error, because sometimes it may happen that there uh, there are chances of conflict between classes. Okay, you can find one data point of other class in some other class. You can find, but it happens very rarely. Okay, like 1 out of 100 or 3 out of 100, it may happen.
That means if they are in the position of intersection, it may happen like they.
Yes, you can say that. You can say that, or those are not those cannot be handled with KNN classification. Okay, so KNN would not be a great algorithm for that, for particular those data points.
Okay.
In that case, you need a particular and accurate nonlinear classifier. Nonlinear, why? Because I have to classify them like this, right? I have to classify them. Let me say. I have to classify them like this. Correct? This belongs to the red class, right? This data point, and this is for blue. So in that case, you need some nonlinear classifier which can perform better than KNN. Clear? You can ask me if there is any doubt. One second. Let's see this. As you know, I mean, say this data point is, I mean, you can be confused, right? So based on your number of K you are mentioning, the classification would be happen. Like this data point, if you mention K equal to 3, that means the neighbor 3 data point it can count. Neighboring 3 data points, it can count. So if the out of 3 data points, if 2 of them belongs to red class, then obviously it will also belong to the red class. Okay. Though, I mean, sometimes it may happen that it is closer to the blue point. Okay, it is more closer to the blue point. But since we are mentioning, we are actually classifying based on neighbors. Okay, that is why it may happen that that particular data point may belong to the red class. All right. It can happen, right? It can happen. Now, if this data point, let's remove this one. No problem. Let's remove this one. Now, this is my new data point, which is closer to my blue class. But if we count the 3 neighbor data point, in that case, these 3 data points are closer. These 3 data points are close neighbors of this data. So out of these 3 data points, I have majority for red class. So obviously, this data point will also go for the red class. Let's suppose this is my red class, no problem. I have another data point which actually happened here. Suppose here, it actually happened here, which is pretty much close to
Hello,
the
sir.
red class.
Sir, we
Yeah.
didn't.
The screen is not visible, sir.
Told me earlier. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Alright. Suppose this is my data point, new data point. Okay. This is my new data point. And forget this one. Forget this one. This is my new data point. So this has immediate neighbors, 3 data points, right? Out of 3 data points, out of these 3 data points, 2 are from red class. So that means this data point will also belong to the red class. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's suppose just very close to the red class, one blue, not blue, actually one new data point occurred. Let's suppose some new observation. So it has immediate neighbors. It has immediate neighbors like this, right? Immediate neighbors like this. So just because
Yes,
I
sir.
mentioned k equal to 3, that means it will count the immediate 3 neighbors. So if we count 3 neighbors, out of 3, 2 are from blue point and one from red point, red class. So that means it will also belong to the blue class. Belong to the blue class. Correct? Correct or wrong?
Yes, yes.
So highest number of the blue class, the highest number of classes when the new data points will tend to move in that class.
Yes. Based on the neighbors. That is why this classification is called k nearest neighbors. First of all, we need to have some mean data point. Based on that mean data point, we'll start doing classes, different classes. So now new data points coming in, keeps coming, then we'll start counting the based on the number of neighbors, majority of neighbors. Okay. So if the majority of the neighbors, let's suppose are from red class, then that data belongs to the red class. The majority belongs to blue class, then that data belongs to blue class. Got it? Clear or doubt?
No, sir, it's clear.
All right. Just do one thing. This is one IRIS dataset, very common dataset. Let's do this. Dataset.head. This is my dataset. Okay.
Drying. Cover ಮಾಡಿ ಮುಗೊಟ್ರೆ ದೌಡಿ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಆಡುತ್ತಿ ಆಗಂಗೆ
Take these.
ಕೂಡ ಹೋಗುದು ಕಾಲಾಗದು
Saurav Das, please mute yourself. Saurav Das, please mute yourself. We can't hear.
ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾಗ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಕೊಂಡಾಡ ಇರ್ತಾವ
ଆଙ୍କର ରାତିରେ ନ ଶୋଇକି ମିଟିଂ କରୁଛନ୍ତି।
যারা খুললো কোথাও জামা খুললে মোবাইল আনবো
Can you please mute yourself, Saurabh Das?
This is the scatter plot. Okay.
আমার বাবাগুলো
This is the scatter plot.
পরিবার
So from this, we have to classify them. In the target column, I have, let's see how many unique values we have in the target column. So target column name is class, right? Data set of class dot unique. Capital C. So there are only 3 classes, right? 3 classes. And this is one, I mean, we have many parameter variables. This is only combination of 2. Taking two parameter variables, we're just plotting this scatter. There will be multiple scatter plots. And we have 3 classes. So we have to make 3 classes out of these data points. All right. The rest of the things are same. Like creating X and Y. So I have how many columns here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 column. 4 parameter variables, right? And 1 target variable. 4 parameter variable, 4 parameter variables and 1 target variable. And target variable has 3 classes. Correct? What happened? You guys are not able to understand this?
The 3 classes will classify these data points.
Yes, these data points.
Okay.
So there are 3 classes like iris setosa, iris versicolor, and iris verticolor. This is the data set of flower species, actually. Iris data set. There is a particular Wikipedia page also for this. These are 3 different flowers. You guys can see.
Yes, sir.
All the 3 species look same, but there are certain differences in design. I mean, some color or some design. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that is why we need to classify them based on some measurement, and these are the measurements given here, like petal width, sepal width, petal length, and sepal length, like this. We already have collected some data, so we will split the data set into two parts. First one would be train and second one would be test. Correct? The standard format. From sklearn.model underscore selection, import train test split. This one you know. You did for logistic regression, right? We're just splitting the data set into training and test. And test side here we are mentioning 20%. So that remaining 80% will go for train set. Correct? So can somebody tell me why we need the test set and why do you need the training set?
Training set is for modeling, test set for evaluation or for validation.
So training set are used to build the model. Means we have to train the model. Here we are dealing with machine learning, right? Yes, we are going to create a machine. This is creating a machine. This one. Classifier equal to k neighbor classifier. This one is creating a machine. But after that, we have to train the machine using X-train and Y-train, means training set. So after learning the data, then only it can understand about the data. If it can understand the data, then if we apply the test set, which is new to the model, it can easily predict the new data set. Correct? Okay. Feature scaling before making any actual predictions. It is always a good practice to scale the features so that all of them can be uniformly evaluated. So you are just making it, you are just converting the data distribution into uniform distribution. Since the range of values of raw data varies widely in some machine learning algorithms, objective functions will
So classification is done in the training set, right?
Classification, no. Training set actually is used to build the model.
Yes, modeling. So
Yes.
here
Classification would be done
on
the
test set.
Yes.
Set, okay.
So before going for any model, any classification model, it is better to do the feature scaling part. There is nothing in the feature scaling, just you can follow this kind of code. Very simple. So the thing is, from sklearn.preprocessing import standard scalar, means you are standardizing the data. Scalar equal to use the function standard scalar, then scalar dot fit on X-train. So after this, you can create your X-train and X-test. This is the whole code. All right.
Why it is called scalar?
Standard scalar because all the data points are actually scalar points. So
Scalar
you're
dot
standardizing them. Yeah,
and dot transform.
yeah.
Oh,
Dot transform. So you're
what?
fitting that data set into the scalar and you're transforming them into xtrain vector. Okay. And xtest vector.
Okay.
Because obviously to go with any machine learning model, you need one full matrix, right? One vector where x would be there, where y would be separated, right? Whenever you create this kind of thing, it actually creates some vector, right? X train would be some vector, x test would be some vector. Vector means collection of values here. Okay. A list is also can be called a vector. A NumPy array will also be called vector. Got it? If you want to know more about this one, you can go to Google and sklearn, type sklearn standard scalar, official documentation. So it actually standardizes features by removing the mean and scaling to unit values.
By removing, sorry,
Yeah.
by removing mean and scaling unit variance, what it means?
By removing the mean, means whatever mean is there already,
Mhm.
you just change the mean. Okay.
Okay.
Just scale the data, whole data, then obviously it will change the mean value. Okay.
Okay.
And obviously we are doing uniform distribution. So uniform distribution means each and every data point will have the same probability. All right. You guys know data distribution, normal distribution, uniform distribution, Gaussian distribution, standard normal distribution. Hello. Nobody is answering. We can proceed for model building.
Yes, sir.
So here we are taking 5 neighbors. So we will be counting 5 neighbors whenever we are classifying any data point. So now you can get it why it is called lazy learning algorithm, because for each and every data point it will check the distance for all the data points. Okay, it has to calculate the distance for all the data points. Then out of all the distances it will take only 5 closer distance. Okay, so for it actually happens for each and every data point. So think, I mean, this will take how much resources and how much time, right? That is why this algorithm is very slow in classification. Yes, it performs very well, but still it is a slow, right? Alright. It is done now. Now we can easily classify them. You can just mention widebread equal to classify dot predict on X test. This is your predictions. So if I do like y test here, you can observe. This is actually actual data set. This is actual data set. And this is my prediction, y predict. You can see there is not much difference between them. Almost all are classified correctly, right? So same confusion matrix and classification report, and you can print the confusion matrix and classification also. So as we have 3 classes, that means the matrix would be 3 by 3 matrix, the confusion matrix. Alright. So these diagonal elements are my correct classification, and all the rest of the elements are wrong classification. So if we have 14 plus 5, 19 plus 9, 28 correct classification, then 2 are wrong classification. Out of 30, we have correctly classified 28, and 2 are wrongly classified. And you can observe for ID set as a class, precision is 100%, Recall is also 100%. For versicolor precision 71% and recall 100%. Iris virginica precision 100%, recall is 82%.
What is recall and F1 score?
In the previous class, I think we discussed those, right? I think all of you have written those things.
Can you give me a little idea?
You were not present in the previous class?
Yes, I am, but I can't recollect now.
What happened today? Nobody is responding that much. You guys are struggling to understand this algorithm or what? This is called recall. So number of true positive divided by true positive plus false negative.
Okay.
And true positive, you can find true negatives and true positives. These are diagonal elements.
I now remember. Okay.
And there is precision. True positive divided by true positive plus false positive.
Okay, thank you.
Please ask me if you guys are struggling to understand this algorithm. If you don't ask me, how will I know?
Oh, sir, till we have understood the last parts. Yes, sir. There is no problem regarding the last explanations.
Comparing the error rate with the k value. In the training and prediction section, we said that there is no way to know beforehand which value of k that yields the best result in the first row, right? Here, we did mention nearest neighbor equal to 5, right? This one, correct? This one you have to find. You have to find out based on trial and error. You have to get some optimal value which can best perform on this data set. So, though it is a very simple algorithm, but still you have to do lot of tasks, like finding the optimal value of k. So, I mean, if your value of k is correct, then obviously you will achieve a better accuracy. evaluation matrix, that is confusion matrix, or that one, classification report. In those things, you'll achieve better result if your k value is good value. So one way to help you find the best value of k is the plot graph of k value at the corresponding error rate. So based on the error rate, we can plot the value. So we will take k value of 1 to 40 and we'll check what are the performance rate. So to do so, let's first calculate the mean of error for all the predicted values where k ranges from 1 and 40. We are taking one empty list here for I in range of 1 to 40. That becomes 40 times this loop will occur, right? I will have 40 different values. Kn equal to k neighbor classifier and n number equal to I. So we are just rewriting the same code again and again 40 times with different nearest neighbors value, and we are fitting the model into training set and we are predicting based on test set. Now we are calculating the error dot append, whatever be the error from this. Error is here the list, so the list name dot append. Okay, and how do we calculate the errors? Based on predicted I. Okay, if the predicted I not equal to the actual value, y test.
So can you explain error dot append? This I didn't understand it.
Error is my an empty list, correct?
Okay.
At first we define an empty list. So error dot append means whatever be the value of this function or this calculation, that will be inserted into this empty list. So suppose in Python you have done if you take one empty list and you want to append something, dot let's suppose one you want to append. Now check it. He is having one. Again you can append a dot append. Suppose 9. You can check 9 is inserted.
Okay, sir.
So the list dot append here we are just taking whichever predicted value is not equal to y test value. That value, taking all those values, we are just calculating the mean out of it and we are inserting the mean value. So that would become my mean error, right? Check the error list. This is my list. List of errors. So plot it.
Just a minute. Just a minute. You scroll upward. Why it is written that predict underscore I is not equal to y test?
That means whatever you are predicting from here by using the model based on X test. Okay. Whatever you are predicting, if those predictions are not equal to y test, the predicted I is same as y pred. So whichever is not equal to y test is my actual values, and these are my predicted values, right? Whichever is not matching, we are just keeping some record of those.
Okay.
Right.
The thing which is not matching, that is classified.
Yeah. The thing, if it does not match, that means there is some error. If it does not match. If it matches, then no error. If it does not match, in that case.
And that particular then that particular thing is classified from the two sets, right?
All are classified now. All are classified. Okay. So I'm just evaluating the model.
Oh, okay.
I'm just evaluating the model. I'm just observing with which number of neighbors, okay, the model performs the best.
Okay. Optimization.
Yeah, optimization, yes, you can say. Means finding the optimal value of nearest neighbor. Okay. In the model, we use some 5, right?
Yes.
Neighbor equal to 5. How do we get to actually use that value? That is not a simple task though. You have to do trial and error like this. Then only you can achieve the optimal value of nearest neighbor. Then you can use that value and get the best accuracy.
Okay.
So we can plot a simple line plot. We can do. These are k values and these are mean errors. In the y-axis we have mean errors and these are k values. Okay. So you can observe at 5, if the k value is 5, then you can achieve the lowest mean error, right? You can achieve the lowest mean error. Correct or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if you increase the nearest neighbor value, same will happen again and again. Okay. So there is no point of using like nearest neighbor equal to 10. Still this is not 10, it's somewhat 11 or 12 something. So 25 also, there is no need of using those. Obviously, if you use nearest neighbor equal to 25, that will also work best. If you use like 11 or something, that will also work the same. But if you are getting from 5, then use the 5. No need to mention higher number, right? Here, if you mention the nearest neighbor equal to 15, you will achieve the lowest mean error. But this may be wrong, because if we increase the nearest neighbor, in those cases, the chances is for each and every data point, you'll be taking care of 15 nearest neighbor data points, right? By using 15 for each and every data point, that will not be computationally efficient. So it is better not to go for higher nearest neighbor, just stick to some lower nearest neighbor value. 5 is okay, 7, 6, 7 is also okay, but don't go beyond those, because that will make your whole model slower. Okay, that will consume lot of hardware resources. See, right now the dataset is very small. Who knows, in future you may receive some huge dataset. In that case, if you are going to apply KNN, it will take a lot of time, a lot of hardware resources. Okay, that is why we can take the 5 as nearest neighbor. Anyway, you can try. You can try with 15 also. No problem. It's your choice.
If the nearest neighbor is 3 or 4, then the error rate will be also low, right?
Yeah. No, error rate will not be low. You can see at 3 or 4, the error rate is highest.
Hmm.
Okay. Means you can say that from 5 to what to say, from 5 to 21, you can achieve lowest error rate. You can try all of them, all the values between 5 to 21.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is something written here. From the output, we can see that the mean error is 0 when the value of k is between 5 and 18. Here actually yeah, it is shown like this. They have some different plotting they got. We are having plotting like this. So it would be advised you to play around with the value of k to see how it impacts the accuracy of the prediction. So from our model, you can have values like, yeah, you can use 5 or 10. Okay, you can use 5 or 10, or up to 15 is okay. You can use 15 also and check whether it actually increases the accuracy or not. Alright. Understood? how to choose the value of k.
Okay.
Yes.
Understood.
All right. If I give you one data set, you can perform KNN. Can you? But you can perform KNN. There is one data set. Can download the dataset from here and pasting the link in the chat box. You can perform KNN on that. And this is actually good platform to learn data science. This is called Kaggle.com. So here a lot of competition actually goes on each and every day. You can participate in them or you can contribute to any dataset. There are a lot of datasets also. Lot. Right. Just open one account in Kaggle. There is no subscription needed. It is free of cost. And open an account here and keep downloading different data set and try to implement linear regression, logistic regression or KNN. Even you guys can follow some of their work also. Some of their work. Alright, any doubt regarding this algorithm today? Please ask me. If there is any doubt, please ask me.
The optimum point after getting this algorithm, the optimum point which we will get, that is my nearest neighbor.
That is your number of nearest neighbor you need to classify each and every data point.
Okay.
Like here, if we mention k equal to 3, then for each and every data point, to classify that data point, we need to consider 3 neighboring data points, right? Right?
Yes.
So here actually if we mention n underscore neighbors equal to 3, in that case the classification for each and every data point would be happen like this. Okay. If we mention 5, then it will consider 5 nearest neighbor data point.
Mm.
If we mention 15, then 15 nearest neighboring data points.
Those 15 nearest data points are optimum.
Optimum, that is based on
Based on
your
the given data
based
set.
on the visualization, okay, based on the performance, right?
Okay.
So first of all, build the model based on any based on mentioning any nearest neighbor, no problem. First of all, build the model, then check the accuracy, then go for some optimization. Not optimization, just finding the optimal value by changing the values of nearest neighbor from 1 to 40, or you can take 1 to 30 or 1 to 20, no problem. So this code means you are doing trial and error. Not this code, this code means you are doing trial and error, and you are finding which combination actually shows you the best accuracy. Okay. Any doubt? Seems like there is no doubt. This is it. If you guys, I provided the data set in chat box. There is the link. You can go there, open the account, and download the data set and perform KNN classifier there. And if you want, you can show me the result next step. Okay. You can show me the optimal value of k, and then by using that value, show me the best result.
Can we get this PDF?
Yes, this link you can have, and you can download this page in PDF. I'm having Windows 7, so in Windows 7 I believe there is no feature, but in Windows 10 you can download it in PDF. Alright, so there is no other doubt, right? Just uh, apply that code onto that new data set, and just show me in the next day, show me the result. That's it. So I'm signing off today then. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Good night then.
Good night, sir.
Bye.
Good night, sir.